Hello there and welcome back to my channel. My name is Robin Norgren and I am doing a series right now on saints. I am a chaplain and I have, spent several years posting content, videos, writing blogs, talking about my life as a Christian and how I go about being the light shining in the world. But I have come to notice lately that maybe I need to become a little bit more liturgical. And so as a Protestant, you normally don't connect to saints or really have any understanding of them. And so that's what this series is all about. So if this is something that is of interest to you, please stay tuned. I'm going to be covering 5 different saints and then giving a little bit of application. So the format is based on this book, A Saint a Day, that was edited by Meredith Hines. I'll put the information down below. See it? And what we're doing is we're taking 5 saints. We are starting it with a prayer, a verse that connects with the saint, giving you a little background on it, and then having a little bit of prayer. So just little 11 to 12 minute vignettes. And so let's go ahead and get started. The first saint that we're going to talk about today is Saint Andre Bessette. And the verse is 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. Rejoice always, pray without ceasing, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus for you. Andre Bessette knew what it was like to need prayers. He had been sick since he was born, and both his parents died by the time he was 12 years old. Andre was so frail that it was difficult for him to find work, but he always found time for prayer. He joined a religious community, performing the tasks he could while keeping up his good attitude and staying devoted to prayer. Soon, sick and hurting people started coming to him from all over the world to ask for his prayers. Andre always told them that he was not able to heal them and pointed them toward prayer instead. Andre spent as many as 8 hours a day talking to people who asked for his help, and many of these people were healed by God. Here's something of note. St. Andre Bessette was so weak when he was born that his parents were afraid he would die, but he lived to be 90 years old. Jesus, I know that you hear me when I pray. Help me to love prayer just as much as St. Andre Bessette did. Our next saint of note is St. Raymond of Penafort. Start with the verse, 1 Thessalonians 14:33. God is a God not of disorder, but of peace. Imagine opening a board game and reading the instructions. Then, just before the first turn of the game, another set of instructions falls out of the same box. These instructions are about the same game, but have completely different rules. How confusing. That confusion is what St. Raymond of Penafort encountered, but on a much bigger scale. Raymond was passionate about learning the law and history of the Catholic Church. But Raymond had a problem. Some of the laws conflicted with each other. The bishop asked Raymond to solve this problem. St. Raymond was able to dedicate his mind to the task. He read through the laws and brought order to them, working with other priests as he went. After Raymond finished his work, everyone could read the same set of rules and laws. Something of note is St. Raymond of Penafort lived at the same time as St. Thomas Aquinas and wrote letters to him. And here's the prayer associated with this saint. God, you love order, and your order brings me peace. Help me understand your ways. Saint number 3 is Saint Angela of Foligno. Psalm 119, 127. Truly I love your commandments more than gold, more than fine gold. Angela loved money, beautiful clothes, and large houses. This was a problem. Not because money, clothes, and houses are bad, but because Angela loved these things more than she loved God. If someone gave Angela a choice between God's love and more gold, she would walk away with the gold. After many years of living this way, Angela realized how sad her life really was. It looked good from the outside, but on the inside, she felt miserable. During the second half of her life, Angela chose God over wealth. She even wrote a book that helped others understand him and his love, which is greater than all the wealth in the world. And here's something of note. Saint Angela of Foligno was so full of wisdom that people called her the teacher of theologians. A theologian is an expert on God and religion. And here is a prayer for Saint Angela of Foligno. Jesus, I want to love you more than I love anything else. Help me value you more than things, just as Saint Angela of Foligno did. Saint number 4 is Saint Adrian of Cantebury. We'll start with Psalm 27:14. Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart. Be strong and let your heart take courage. Wait for the Lord. Adventure awaited Adrian. Pope Vitalian told Adrian to move from his home in Italy all the way to England. And when he arrived, Adrian would help lead the church, build new churches, and teach people about Jesus. There was only one problem. During his trip, a powerful mayor in France learned of Adrian and was convinced that he was a spy. The mayor thought that Adrian was up to no good, and he put Adrian in prison. Instead of becoming angry and blaming the mayor, Adrian waited. His patience paid off. After 2 whole years, the mayor realized Adrian wasn't a spy after all and allowed him to leave and begin his work. St. Adrian of Cantebury was born in Africa, but spent 39 years in England. Jesus, it's hard to wait. Please help me be patient like St. Adrian of Canterbury. I know my future is in your hands. And then finally, St. Gregory of Nyssa. Matthew 5:11. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. A few hundred years after Jesus died, Gregory served as a bishop of Nyssa. He taught people, built churches, and solved problems. Unfortunately, some people were jealous of Gregory's important role as bishop because they had hoped to be picked for the office themselves. They made up lies about Gregory, then captured him and treated him terribly. He escaped his captors, but then had to wander from place to place to keep from being captured again. Finally, the envious people in his town lost their power, and Gregory returned to his church to serve the people again. St. Gregory of Nyssa wrote a book called The Life of Moses, which taught important Christian lessons based on Moses' life. Jesus, if others say bad things about me, help me remember what you say about me. So let's do a brief recap on the 5 saints that we just heard about. So we have Saint Andre of Bessette, and it was, from the beginning, he was weak, he was sick. He ended up losing both his parents at 12 years old, and he still was very frail throughout his life. Yet he built a capacity to pray in spite of it, so much so that he was known for prayer, and people would come from all around, and he would always turn it back to prayer, but ultimately that praying was healing those around him. And then ultimately he lived until over 90 years old. Then we have Saint Raymond of Penafort, who was assigned to take some of the rules that were contradictory and begin to bring some reconciliation with the rules that are found in the church orders. Then there was Saint Angela of Foligno, who loved all things that had to do with the world. And again, being reminded that that's not what the problem is. It's having that love over the love of God. And then somehow she came to the realization of how sad she was, even as she had all that she desired. And then Saint Adrian of Cantebury, going to England from his birthplace of Africa, so that he could build churches, teach people about Jesus, pretty much becoming a missionary in another country, in another land, spending over 39 years there, and then being persecuted. Remember, people were coming against him. There was a powerful mayor in France that came against him, accusing him of being a spy. And instead of becoming angry, he waited. And after 2 years, began to do the work he was called to do. And then finally, Saint Gregory of Nyssa. He's there doing the work, very similar to Saint Adrian, and then others coming against him because they were jealous of the office that he held, the office that was rightly his, and somehow continuing to be persistent and being true to what he knew God called him to be. Over and over again, I'm just reminded that these are everyday people and everyday problems. And when you're going through it, do you think that you are a candidate for sainthood? No, you're just trying to do what you believe is right. And so this has been such a great reminder to me. And perhaps, I'd be so bold as to say that we Protestants need to know about these saints, because I think we just throw everything out if it's not Protestant and it has anything that has any ring of, the Catholic Church. We won't even investigate it. But wouldn't this give some of our Protestant brothers and sisters comfort in the things that they're dealing with every day, to know that this is the road to sainthood? Well, I really hope that you've enjoyed this series. Please make sure and tune in. I will be doing these series one every week, 5 saints, and make sure and pass this on to those you think might be encouraged by it. Thanks for stopping by.